Hello and welcome to Millennial Media. My name is Romero Starks and I will be your host this evening. On this program, we talk to students and their instructors from St. Charles County area schools about some of the interesting projects they create. For today's show, we'll be talking to a group of students from Timberland High School in the Wentzville School District. To start our show today, I have with me Christian Kirk and Caroline Lemon, broadcasters from Timberland High Schools. So, tell me guys, first of all, how are you today?
Good. Thank you for having us.
No problem, I enjoy it. So, first of all, just tell me a little bit about what both of you do, respectively, in the broadcast program.
We are both reporters. We're all required to be reporters, so we go out, find the stories, we tape them, we shoot them, we set up interviews, and voiceovers.
Okay. Christian, anything to add there?
So yeah, we're actually required to edit our own stories and send them in to the final production.
Gotcha. So I assume you all do different projects. You don't all work on the same thing. So Christian, what are some of the things that you personally work on?
I've done sports, marching band. We recently did a media production. So I talked about recent media going on around the world today. But just people, we sit down, we brainstorm, and people pick their stories, and we do different stories.
All right. What about yourself, Caroline?
I've actually done one news segment so far on our school student council. We did Timberland for Texas shirts, and we raised money to help those who were affected by the hurricanes.
Okay. And we're going to come back to that because I actually want to watch that video today. So, Christian, I know that you do work with football.
Yes.
And I know you actually did something with Lindenwood as well.
I did, yes.
Yeah, tell me a bit about that.
So basically, I started taking videos for my Timberland school football, and then my coach sent my work over to the Lindenwood coaches, and they liked what they saw. So they had me come out and film 2 games, and it was a really good experience.
You know, just keep your options open. If you're looking for schools, Lindenwood would be more than happy to have you.
Definitely considering it.
Yeah. Okay. And Caroline, you did some softball work, correct?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We did a feature story, Grace and I. We covered softball. We set up interviews with the players about how their season went, and then we figured out an angle was going to be more of how their team was working together and the memories. We actually got a new coach this year, so that affected the team in a really positive way, and it was really cool to see the impact that he had on his athletes.
Right. All right, so outside of the broadcast program, what are some of the things that you all participated in school? We can start with you, Caroline.
I'm the vice president of my student council. I'm also in ping pong club. It's super fun. I enjoy it. And I'm a Link Crew member, which is a mentorship program for the freshmen.
Oh, that's nice. Christian, how about yourself?
I played football and tennis my freshman and sophomore year, and I plan to play tennis this year as well.
Okay. All right, so you guys are pretty much all hands on deck, just all around Timberland High School. That's good. It's definitely a good thing to get your hands on a lot of things and be well-versed in a little bit of a lot. It helps you in the future. You never know what people might ask you about, and you're like, oh, yeah, well, I have some knowledge about that. So that's good. So what are some of the things that you all have struggled with the broadcast program being so new, and obviously there's some adapting there. What are some of the things you struggle with?
Well, I'd say I started making videos before I did broadcasting, and I try to teach myself the program, the editing program, but taking up the classes really helped me learn how to use it better and just use it to make videos.
What editing program do you use?
Adobe Premiere.
Oh, you got the fancy stuff.
Yeah.
And how about yourself, Caroline?
I would definitely say time management has been huge. We have lots of deadlines and just juggling lots of different things. It's been interesting.
Yeah. So how did you all get into this? What inspired you? Did a teacher try to pull you into it? What made you decide to jump into it?
I actually took the journalism class my sophomore year. This is the first year broadcast media has been offered as a class. So that's what I would like to pursue in my future, as being a sports broadcaster. So I was like, hey, this is a great way to, start putting myself out there and being on camera and whatnot and finding the stories.
I really fell in love with making videos over the summer, and I was looking to enroll in classes, and I saw that broadcast media was available this year, so I decided I'd give it a try.
Great. And you mentioned that one thing that you're hoping to do is do sports broadcasting and how that may help you. Christian, what are you hoping to gain from this?
like I said, just editing and just more experience and like working together with other people, as I've only done it by myself previously.
Right. That's good. That's good. So I know that one thing being that I do a little bit of the same stuff with broadcasting and reporting, I know that being unbiased and being subjective about things can kind of be hard. Can you tell me about how it has been trying to transition to making sure that you don't refer to I or we or our? Is that kind of complicated for you? I know it's still a problem for me. So how do you try to avoid that?
Well, like I said, I did a media one, and it was so hard for me. I'd say, oh, go watch this show. Like I ended up having to go back and cut out me saying, go watch the show, it's really good. You just can't do that, and I just need to learn how to learn that I can't do that.
Right. And what about yourself?
I definitely think it's about giving viewers the facts rather than your opinion. So that's, like you said, it's been really hard and difficult, and definitely I don't get it on my first take.
Yeah.
So that's what I appreciate about editing, going back and fixing it.
Right. And you guys have already gotten out a news story, right? You've already gotten out a full program. So tell me about the first one. How did it go? Some of the things that were good, maybe some bad things that you need to work on. Tell me about it.
It was rough. We only had 7 days to get it done. So everyone was like scrambling around trying to get it done. But the second one, we had a lot more time, and it should be better.
Yeah, definitely it was difficult with 7 days for pre-production, production, and post-production. So that was difficult getting time, like maybe the people you were interviewing weren't going to be there at school today, and you just kind of had to improvise or take a different angle. So like I said, that's definitely something I'll take away to the real world to apply that.
And how many are you all hoping to get out this year? Do you know? Is there a semester basis, like we're hoping to knock out 3 this semester? And
We do one every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And there's 2 different groups. There's A group and B group, so it's just half the class split.
Okay. So it sounds good. So one thing that we talked about earlier is your Timberland for Texas video. Tell me about some of the preparation that went into getting that video together, and then also maybe what inspired you to do that video.
Well, we were brainstorming ideas, and for each segment or each newscast we put out, we are required to have at least one segment of news, whether that be worldly news or Timberland news, preferably Timberland news, because that's what is relevant to our students. So being on student council, and I was a member of the community board last year for it. So we did a lot with the community outreach, helping people and getting good PR for our student council. So this year the community board decided to raise money for those affected by the hurricanes in Texas. And I said to Grace, who was my partner who I worked on the video with, that it would be a great idea that we could cover it. And we sold t-shirts, and everyone in school was wearing them. And it was a theme at one of the football games. So that was really cool to cover. And Christian got to cover some of that as well. So we ended up raising, as a student council, about $4,000 to donate to the Salvation Army.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible.
That's great. So, Christian, what role did you play in that? What were some of the things that you were able to get your hands on?
I'm just president of all the football games, and I put together a little highlight reel, and I sometimes get in the student section, and I had students wearing the shirt that they made.
Oh, that's definitely really impressive. Not a lot of high school programs, I think, get something like that together, and not only get it together, but be successful and raise that much money. So kudos to you for having hands-on in that project and being able to raise that much money. That's definitely a big deal. Congratulations. So, Christian, you said you do a lot of football.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before the show you've got a YouTube channel.
YouTube, I do, yes. It's very young. Hopefully I can make something out of it. I just want to put as much as possible on there of what I'm producing, just to get it out there.
So what are some of the things that you've been doing? Just a lot of school stuff from the football games, or a lot of personal stuff you've also been
it started off in the summer. I actually traveled to Colorado, Alaska, and California.
Wow.
So I picked up a camera and I was like, I want to make some videos, and I just put something together, and I ended up putting it on YouTube.
Interesting. So how can people maybe get a hold of your YouTube? I'm sure people would love to see some of the stuff you've produced and some of the stuff you plan to produce.
Yeah, for sure. You can just type in Christian Kirk, that's my name, and then type in Timberland. It'll probably bring you one of the football videos.
Okay. And as far as your newscasts, are they available anywhere on Facebook or on a website that other people can view?
Yes, our school, this year we started an online news program, so it's wolfshowl.com, and it has all of our videos on it, as well as those with the online news class, who we got rid of our newspaper and now it's online news, so that's really a big change we've made also.
Okay. So what are some of the things, you guys seem to have gotten a good start so far. What are some of the things that you're hoping that maybe as this class gets further and you guys get a little more comfortable, things that you can maybe implement and change to kind of add some more of your own personal touches to it?
I'd say just that as we're doing it more and more, we're getting better like at editing, at everything we're doing, and just getting it done quicker so we have time to really take our time when we're editing and just put in what we want to put in.
What would you say, Caroline?
I would definitely say just to improve the overall quality of it. I know we had problems with the audio, so this time we're going to implement someone to specifically go over the audio beforehand and before we produce it out to the student body, so that way we can fix that problem. So definitely lots of problem solving going on.
Great. And this is the big question I always got to ask my high school guests. You're a senior, Caroline. You mentioned you kind of know what you want to do. Have you considered schools or ideas of, this is the path I want to take for sure? What are you thinking?
Yes, next year I'll be going to Mizzou, and I will be continuing to pursue a career in broadcast journalism and hopefully a minor in Spanish.
Okay. That was basically my major minor, word for word. I stopped Spanish, though. It got rough at a point, and I was like, you know what? Can't do it. Christian, I know you're a junior, so you got time,
Yes.
so I'm not going to give you too much pressure with the college question. Just keep Lindenwood in mind. Wink, wink.
I will.
But I know you probably want to go into film, maybe. What are some of the things you want to do with film?
Something with film. I'm not sure if that's directing or producing yet, but it's just something in that area.
Got you. Well, you two keep up the good work. I will definitely keep an eye on your YouTube channel as well as the website to see some of the updates on your newscast. Christian and Caroline, thank you for coming. And next, we're going to have another student and a teacher as well. We enjoyed seeing your work, and we'll be right back after this break.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
So we were walking to school.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really want
smart.
cheese pizza.
Sometimes her mind wanders.
We should have a sleepover.
I remember saying, Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope we
bad
don't
day
have
at
another
school
bad day at
today.
school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Welcome back to Millennial Media. Now I have with me Sammy Lambert and Kelly Trussell. They are here to talk about their work with Timberland's broadcasting program, and Sammy is an actor and reporter. Mrs. Trussell is the instructor for their program. Hello and welcome to the show, ladies. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. So I talked to your classmates a little bit earlier, and some of the things I asked them were, how did they get into the class? What inspired you to take it?
Actually, Miss Trussell did. I was in personal finance with her last year, and she told me that they were having a new class this year, and she told me that if I did it, I could be in front of the camera. So obviously I did
Always a
it.
perk.
Exactly. So I did it, and I really love it.
Okay. So Ms. Trussell, how did you get roped into the class and become such a great recruiter?
Well, I'm a business teacher at Timberland, and so Wentzville School District decided that they were going to start this class, and they decided they were going to have a business technology teacher pair up with a journalism teacher, and so that we could be really successful right out of the gate. So, and it's been a great experience working with my co-teacher, Ms. Hoffman, and it's just been wonderful. I did multimedia at Timberland, and so I already had some video editing experience and experience with all types of media. So I guess they thought that I was the perfect pick for it then.
Gotcha. So she brought the journalism aspect, she brought all the video editing and stuff like that together. That's great. So before we come back to that, because I want to know more about that,
Okay.
tell me some of the things that you specifically work on.
Well, specifically, I am an anchor, and I'm also a reporter because, again, as Caroline said, we are all required to be reporters. So I have to work on scripting the anchor thing, and then I go out and I film some stuff for my report, and then I put it together, and then I have to give that to the editor. But I basically have two pieces that I have to work on because being an anchor is a job all on its own, and then so.
Right. So, of course, I have to ask you, like I asked them, what are some of the other things that you're involved in on campus? I've heard you've got quite a few. Let's get a run through.
Well, I'm really big in theater because I want to be an actress. So I do improv, I do speech and dramatics. I'm a board member for theater, so I'm one of the leaders. I do motivational club, interact, youth and government. I do the broadcast side of that. I also am a link leader like Caroline is. I run track in the spring. Yes, I run distance track. And I also, I'm a Chad's ambassador. There's a lot. It's kind of hard to remember. If you look at my Instagram bio, it says it all in there. That's usually how I remember.
Are there enough characters for that? Or?
Yeah, in the bio, not on Twitter.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
So, being that you're involved in so much, and apparently more,
yes.
How do you juggle all of that with an already busy class schedule, I'm sure, in addition to also doing so much for the broadcast class?
Well, it is hard, I'm not going to lie. Time management is my biggest thing. I have this huge planner that I carry around with me everywhere, and that's like my Bible. Like, that's my lifeline.
Yeah, you have to with that many things.
Yes, yes. I write everything down in there. But I like staying busy. I'm a busy girl, so it just works for me. I like it.
Kudos to you.
Thank you.
After classes and maybe a club or a sport or two, that was it. I couldn't do it anymore. Okay, so Ms. Trussell, how were you able to get some people into the class, seeing as this was the first year? Besides, obviously, Sammy, were there other students that you were like, hey, we got this thing, why don't you come on in?
Oh, absolutely. In my multimedia class, I had a lot of students that were very interested in the video editing aspect of it. But sometimes those students really aren't wanting to be on camera, so that's why I also talked to Sammy, who I knew would like to be on camera. So even though she was in personal finance, I knew that she would be great at it. So, and it's a student-led program, so we really want all types of students. We want to, showcase that in our broadcast.
That's good. Okay, so I also want to know from you, what are some of the struggles that you have? Aside from time management with so many activities, what are some of the struggles or adjustments that you've had to make getting used to the broadcast?
Well, like I said, I am an actress, so I'm used to that aspect of it. When I did broadcast media at Girls State over the summer, I was an anchor. I did the weather and the sports, so I'm more used to being in front of the camera and reading off what I'm supposed to know, or like memorizing what I'm supposed to know. So being the person who has to go out and get that information and actually tell the story and write the story, that was definitely challenging, I'm not gonna lie. Also having to learn how to edit videos like on just such short notice, so definitely that.
And how was that experience for you, getting to do that over the summer? Did that maybe make you consider an option for...
I was kind of wary about taking broadcast media last year, and I was like, you know what, if I don't like it, like, it's okay, I can always drop it semester, but I love it. Like, getting to do it over the summer, it really just kind of brought me closer to it, I think.
Gotcha. And Mrs. Trussell, I'm sure with a bit of a business teaching background and a little bit of multimedia, it's probably a weird transition for you to jump straight into doing broadcasting.
It really wasn't, because my co-teacher and I get along so great, and we both just kind of do what we're best at, and it works out in the end. So it hasn't been that hard. I would say the hardest thing has been for me learning the journalistic aspect of things. So for instance, in multimedia, I get a lot of kids who want to be YouTubers, or they put their own content on social media. So trying to show the difference between that and actual fact-based reporting or news is something that, has been definitely something that I've learned, and the students. So I'm glad that we have our journalism teacher there to kind of guide us in that, because, I'm used to the YouTube, other media kind of stuff,
So being that this class is such a collaborative effort, how are you two able to come to a meeting place on, we got to bring this from journalism and this from multimedia, and right in here in this middle area is exactly what we need to make sure that these kids get out of this? How are you able to come to that?
We do a lot of planning, so we've pretty much have our whole year planned out. We have the students doing 2 different individual groups where every other week they're producing a newscast. And within those groups, one of our modules was project management. So we've kind of started them off with learning how to do project management. And they have to have everything scheduled from day 1 to day 14 on exactly what they're doing, filming, etc. And I think that's been really good for them to kind of learn time management in a real world setting. Right. So not just, a school setting. They're having to go out and actually do the work. So that's been nice. And then we do kind of take turns with teaching different things. So for example, we have modules that we do when they have a few off days. So for example, I'm doing some advanced Adobe Premiere for our next module. Project management was one of our modules. And we also talk about journalistic ethics and all kinds of different things. So we kind of just combine the two, but a lot of planning, a lot of working together. So, they're kind of like our kids. So they're not just my kids, they're our kids. So.
Gotcha. So how has that been for you? I'm sure most classes, that's not an issue where you have 2 teachers bringing together different types of things. So how has that been for you, getting used to having 2 different instructors and then both bringing things to the table?
I think it makes things easier. There's certain aspects that I know I could go to Miss Trussell about, but then there's also certain things that I'm like, oh, well, this is definitely a Miss Hoffman question. Mm-hmm. But I think it kind of makes easing it into like that class a little bit easier, because it is the first time that we've had this class. And I just think with both aspects of it coming at from different angles, having like somewhere to meet in the middle, I think that's the easiest thing about it.
So I know that you did a piece on theater.
Yes,
theater feature.
I did.
Tell me a little bit about that before we take a look at it.
Well, it's kind of just about, wait, is this the theater feature or the Spam-A-Lot feature?
That's right, there are 2. Tell me about
2.
the Spam-A-Lot feature.
The Spam-A-Lot feature. Well, okay, so our school had recently performed Monty Python's Spam-A-Lot. So we kind of just wanted to do like a backstage access kind of thing. We didn't have the rights to actually film the musical performance, so we did a little bit of mic checks, and we took some pictures from when they were actually like doing a dress rehearsal, and we got behind into the makeup areas while they were doing their makeup, and so that made for some interesting pictures. I got some of the broadcasters some access into it because I am in the musical, and we tried to get people as much like insider information on how the musical runs, what it's like to be behind the scenes, and just kind of how much work goes into it and how much people don't really see about it.
Right. Well, briefly, we're just going to take a quick look at it so we can get a full view of all the stuff you're talking about.
Recently performed their rendition of Monty Python's Spam-A-Lot. Let's go behind the scenes to see their point of view on the show.
I've made some great friends, get to hang out with some cool people, and dance and sing and improv with them.
Spam-A-Lot was a lot of fun. Got to make some new friends, got to actually, learn some new dance moves.
It was funny. It was a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be.
What did you expect it to be?
Boring and pretty lame, but it was actually really good. So.
Brave was Robin, the fourth Camelot. He's not afraid to die, oh, praise Robin.
That was great. Great job on that. Thanks for sharing that with us today. So, Miss Trussell, how hands-on are you when these students do these features? Are you just kind of like a helping hand behind the scenes, like if you need it, let me know, or do you kind of help them through it and you're with them doing it?
Well, this is a student-led class and a student-led production. So I am the facilitator as well as Ms. Hoffman. So we're there if they need help with any of the editing, we're there if they need ideas, but ultimately our goal is to have them doing everything. So we want them to have this authentic learning experience where they are capable of running the show, basically. So we try to step in when needed and step out when needed. So it's kind of, it's an adjustment because, you know, if you're used to direct instruction and constantly standing in front of the classroom, it's not like that. So it is a lot of project management, like we talked about earlier, planning. And we do have times where we are learning things in our modules, but when they are doing the newscast, we're kind of there for support. So,
Great. So just quickly, as we wrap it up here, I have to ask you.
Yes.
You're a senior. You
Yes.
mentioned theater. What are you looking towards getting into specifically, and are you looking at a school?
Well, I want to be a film and television actress, so I am a big city kind of girl. I'm looking really towards Chicago right now. Yes.
Okay, great. So you've got your options already together.
Sort of. Sort of.
That's a start. It's a start. You still got
getting
some time.
there.
Ladies, I greatly appreciate you coming today. Best of luck to you in your future
Thank you.
endeavors, and best of luck to you, Ms. Trussell, in continuing to build this class and make it even better than it is now. We just got some insight into the creative works that the young adults in Timberland High School are working hard to make. Thank you again to Christian and Caroline for coming on the show and sharing with us. We appreciate all that you showed us today, and that is all for today's episode of Millennial Media. Keep an eye out for our next episode in a couple of weeks.